Many people believe Jesus taught his followers to accept harm without response. They believe he told people to stay silent when abused. They believe he commanded weakness. This belief usually comes from one section of the Sermon on the Mount. It comes from Matthew chapter 5. The idea sounds simple: turn the other cheek. But the original Greek text does not support the modern conclusion. When we slow down and read carefully, the meaning changes. The claim we are testing is this: Jesus told people to accept mistreatment without resistance. The assumption is that righteousness equals passivity. The assumption is that obedience means silence. But assumptions are not evidence. Scripture must define itself. That means we must return to the words Jesus actually used, not English summaries, not sermons, not tradition. The Greek text must speak first. The key passage is Matthew 5:39. In English, it is often translated, "Do not resist an evil person." That sentence alone has shaped entire belief systems, but we must stop here, because English hides important details. The Greek verb behind resist is not a general word. It is specific. The word is antistenai. It comes from the root anthi, meaning against, and histemi, meaning to stand. Together, it means to stand against in a formal or forceful way. This word is not used for all resistance. It is used for violent or legal retaliation. It is used in military contexts. It is used when someone rises up to strike back. Jesus was not saying, never object. He was saying, do not retaliate in kind. That is a very different command. Silence and non-retaliation are not the same thing. Jesus then gives examples, and examples define meaning. He says, if someone strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. This detail matters. Most people are right-handed. A strike to the right cheek with the right hand would be a backhand. In the ancient world, a backhand was an insult. It was not a fight. It was a public humiliation. It was how a superior shamed someone beneath them. Jesus is not describing a beating. He is describing an insult. The response he gives is not submission. It is confrontation without violence. Turning the other cheek forces the aggressor to treat you as an equal. A forehand strike would be required. That changes the social dynamic. It exposes the injustice. It does not endorse it. The same pattern continues. Jesus says, if someone sues you for your tunic, give him your cloak also. This sounds like loss. But again, context matters. Under Jewish law, a cloak could not be taken permanently. It was returned at night. By giving both, the person would stand naked or nearly naked. Shame would fall on the one who demanded it. The lawbreaker would be exposed. The victim would not be erased. Jesus then says, if someone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2. Roman soldiers could legally force civilians to carry gear for 1 mile. That was the law. But forcing more was illegal. By going 2 miles, the civilian puts the soldier at risk of punishment. Again, the power balance shifts. This is not obedience. It is strategic, non-violent resistance. Every example Jesus gives follows the same pattern. Do not strike back. Do not become violent. But also, do not disappear. Do not accept the lie that you are nothing. Jesus is teaching how to resist injustice without becoming unjust. Now we must pause, because none of this says what Jesus did not say. He did not say to stay in danger. He did not say to remain in abuse. He did not say to silence truth. Those ideas are not in the text. When Scripture is silent, we must be silent too. Jesus addressed retaliation. He did not address ongoing harm in every situation. We can confirm this by looking at Jesus' own behavior. When Jesus was struck during his trial in John 18, he did not turn the other cheek. He spoke. He said, if I spoke wrongly, testify of the wrong. If rightly, why do you strike me? That is not passivity. That is verbal resistance. It is calm. It is direct. It is grounded in truth. The Greek here is clear. Jesus questioned the injustice. He did not accept it silently. That matters, because Jesus practiced what he taught, and what he taught was not silence. It was restraint without surrender. We also see Paul do the same thing. In Acts 16, Paul is beaten unlawfully. He does not immediately protest, but later he demands public acknowledgement of wrongdoing. He uses Roman law. He does not seek revenge, but he does not pretend nothing happened. Again, nonviolent resistance, not submission. The Bible never equates righteousness with being mistreated forever. That idea comes from misuse. It comes from reading isolated lines without grammar, culture, or examples. Scripture interprets Scripture, and Scripture shows a consistent pattern. Do not repay evil with evil, but do expose evil with truth. Now we return to Matthew 5. Jesus says, "Love your enemies." Love is not approval. Love is not silence. Love is acting without hatred. Love is refusing to become what harms you. Love does not erase boundaries. The Greek word for love here is agape. It refers to deliberate action, not emotional closeness. It does not mean access. It does not mean trust. This is where tradition often goes too far. It adds meanings Jesus did not give. Jesus never commanded people to remain powerless. He never told victims to protect abusers. He never defined holiness as endurance of injustice without voice. Those ideas are not textual, they are imposed. At this point, we need to be very careful. Scripture does not give a single rule for every situation. Jesus was addressing personal retaliation in daily conflicts. He was not writing civil law. He was not giving instructions for courts. He was not describing every form of harm. Where Scripture does not speak, we must not claim it does. But we can say this clearly. The Greek text does not support the idea that Jesus told people to be doormats. The command was about refusing violent retaliation. It was about breaking cycles of harm. It was about confronting injustice without copying it. This changes how we read the passage. The tension remains until the end. Jesus does not promise outcomes. He does not say this will always work. He does not say justice will come immediately. He simply defines a way of responding that does not destroy the person responding. And now we reach the final clarification. Jesus was forming a community that refused to mirror violence, not a community that disappeared under it. The Greek text holds that line carefully. It neither glorifies aggression nor blesses submission. It calls for clarity, restraint, and truth. That is where the passage ends, not with weakness, but with moral strength that refuses to become cruel. If this reading feels unfamiliar, that is normal. Tradition often smooths sharp edges, but Scripture is precise, and precision matters. When we return to the words, the meaning becomes clear. Jesus was not telling you to be a doormat. He was teaching you how to stand without striking back. If this passage challenged what you've always heard, that's intentional. Bible Unmasked does not teach tradition. We do not defend doctrine. We return to the original words of Scripture. Hebrew and Greek define meaning, not modern assumptions, not sermons, not fear-based timelines. Where the text speaks, we listen carefully. Where the text is silent, we stop. If you want Scripture explained without speculation, without hype, and without distortion, you're in the right place. Subscribe to Bible Unmasked for disciplined, text-driven analysis. And join us as we strip away layers of tradition to hear what the Bible actually says.